It's Halloween night, and as our friends the Chaotix get ready to trick-or-treat, some hijinks are afoot. As the warm fall sun begins to set, Vector hurries Charmy B, warning him that if they take too long, all the full-sized candy bars will be gone. Espio wants to make sure that Vector understands they are taking Charmy trick-or-treating and not the other way around. As always, Vector asks about a commission, and Espio's cold stare gives him the answer, even if it wasn't the one that he was looking for. Charmy comes out of his room, showing off his vampire costume for the night, while Vector mutters to himself, wondering if it's so wrong that he wants candy too. But the knock at the door interrupts the trio. The three are a bit shocked. Could this really be a case for them on Halloween night of all nights? Vector heads to the door, assuring the others that it's probably just a kid looking for candy. As he opens the door, it appears that he might be correct, as a kid stares up at Vector. He begins to tell the child that they're about to head out for candy as well, but he stops himself to ask what's wrong, as the kid is noticeably upset. She explains to Vector that she doesn't want any candy from them, but rather wants their help because her candy was stolen. The Chaotix welcome the child in, giving her some hot cocoa before questioning about the events leading up to the theft. She explains that together with some friends, she was walking alongside a forest path when a kid popped out and told them that his name was Herschel. He said that if they followed him, he would lead them to a place where they could get full-sized candy bars. Sounds a bit too good to be true, right? But the kids followed Herschel into the woods regardless, and it quickly became apparent to them that this was a mistake, as Herschel disappeared from their sight. As they called out to him in fear, a monster popped out of the bushes behind them, snatching their candy in the process. Upset with her poor decision to follow the kid into the woods, she lets out a cry in front of the Chaotix, who all try to comfort her. They assure her that they will get her candy back. Vector asks about trick-or-treating tonight, but Charmy is gung-ho about helping her. Vector goes along with this, telling Charmy that tonight is his night, so he's the boss. Espio asks the girl if she could point them to where the candy was stolen, and with the location revealed, the Chaotix are on the case. In the meantime, Sonic and Tails are flying into town on the tornado. Sonic tells Tails that he could have made it back faster if he ran, and as the two banter, they spot the Chaotix below and decide to go in for a landing to see if they want to go trick-or-treating together. The Chaotix spot them above as well, and the two groups meet at a clearing. Sonic inquires how their night is going, and Charmy explains that they're on a case, trying to find a monster who stole candy. Sonic volunteers to help as long as it's okay with the Chaotix, to which Vector replies, the more, the merrier. The group heads down the dark forest path when a scream and rustling in the bushes catches their attention. All of a sudden, two kids bolt from the forest brush, running for their lives and candy. This makes Charmy and Tails a bit more nervous about the entire situation. Espio and Vector split off and talk about a plan for how they're going to pinpoint this monster, discussing tactics from their last case. However, when Vector is about to explain the plan to the rest of the group, Tails cuts him off, explaining that he's already pinpointed the location of the scream, leaving both Espio's and Vector's jaws dropped. Heading even deeper into the forest, it appears that someone or something might be lurking and watching our heroes. Sonic asks Vector what they should be looking for since he's used to this kind of stuff. Vector replies by telling Sonic that they could find tracks or possibly fur and teeth, since this is a monster. Sonic decides that it might be best if he utilizes his speed here, and Espio agrees, telling him to go scout ahead. Sonic takes off, blasting ahead in a trail of blue light. He comes across something that he is certain is a clue. Leading the rest to what he found, we see a torn trick-or-treat bag caught on the tree. Vector is rather proud of Sonic's detective work, and Espio and Charmy take a closer look at the bag and call Vector over to them. Looking at their discovery, Vector says that they only have one thing left to do now, and that is to follow the trail. Following the candy trail covered on the ground, the group hurries along, but a noise too hard to make out catches Charmy's attention. Diverging from the trail, Charmy and the group catch sight of Herschel and two other kids. It appears that he's pulling the same scheme he pulled on the girl from before, as we see these kids getting nervous, asking to turn back. Charmy calls out to Herschel, telling him to stop, but he bolts, taking off into the darkness of the forest. Charmy stays in hot pursuit of Herschel as the others console the kids, making sure that they're okay. As Vector and Tails stay behind with them, Sonic and Espio take off, trying to catch back up with Charmy. Sonic manages to catch up with the bee, and together they back Herschel into a tree. With seemingly nowhere to go, it seems that this case is about to be closed, when out of nowhere, the monster jumps from the bushes, grabbing Sonic by the arm. Charmy cries out for help, alerting Vector. He tells Tails to follow him, but keep his distance, and with that, Vector takes off to go help his friend. friend. The monster pulls at Sonic, grabbing another arm. Vector calls out to Charmy, telling him the plan of attack. They execute it well, as Vector lands a big hit on the monster. It collapses and looks defeated. Vector tells him he picked the wrong holiday to screw with, and shouts, sending the monster flying back into a tree. Charmy tells Vector to stop, which just confuses him, but he points out that this isn't a monster. Instead, it's just kids disguised as one. As they all stare at each other, Herschel takes the opportunity to land an uppercut on Vector. Charmy condones the kids' actions, but they don't seem to care and try to make a split for it. Each ends up being caught, except for Herschel, who bolts off. However, just like Vector had planned, Tails was waiting in the distance and comes face to face with Herschel. Tails tells him that he wasn't being nice to those other kids, and Herschel doesn't care, stating that Tails is a kid too. But Tails corrects him, stating that tonight he's a cowboy, and he's going yeehaw mode, which is honestly the greatest line ever uttered by Tails. Tails uses his lasso to wrangle up Herschel and brings him to the rest of the group. The kids try to bargain and plead with the heroes to let them go, even offering bribes of candy. Espio puts them in their place though, letting them know that this isn't even their candy in the first place. While all the fussing is going on, Charmy finds something and brings attention to it. Behind some bushes, Charmy unveils the stolen stash of candy. One of the thieves starts crying, explaining to Sonic that he worked all year on those robotic arms, and now they are losing the candy that they stole with them. Sonic takes this as a learning moment for the youngster and explains to him that he's not keeping it for himself, but rather giving it back to those who it rightfully belonged to, because it's the right thing to do. Meanwhile, Charmy is struggling to pull out the final bag of candy, asking Vector to come over and help him. Vector lifts it up, noting that it's got some heft to it. Opening up the contents of the bag, a huge gem of candy falls out. The thieves comment that it belonged to one of the first people they spooked. Tails and Charmy ask how they think the person they stole this from feels about losing it, and this seems to have struck a chord with the kids as they apologize, noting that they got too carried away. They release the thieves from their restraints, as they've now realized the wrongs that they've committed, and head back into town with a ton of candy to hand out. Sonic and his friends help the thieves with handing out the candy that they stole, and the thieves begin to realize that it actually feels good to help people. Tails goes up to Rowdy, complimenting him on his robot arms. Everyone seems to be happy now. Well, everyone except for Charmy. He's a bit sad that he didn't get to go trick-or-treating himself, even though he is glad that he got to help the town. However, Tails lets him know that with all the candy that they've handed out, they still have enough for a pillowcase full. And so the story ends with Charmy B eating his candy, enjoying what he says is the best Halloween ever. I love Halloween. It's always been one of my favorite holidays. And I remember last year when I started this channel, I was hoping that IDW would do a Sonic Halloween comic. And here we are, 1 year later with my wish fulfilled. Seeing all these characters dressed up for the occasion was really fun, and I really appreciate little one-shots like this that are more lighthearted and festive. But let me know what you guys thought about this Sonic Halloween special in the comments below. And guys, I just wanted to wish you all a happy Halloween.